Good morning. We're going to go ahead and look at Psalm 3 today. A psalm of David when he fled from his son Absalom. Lord, how many are my foes? How many rise up against me? Many are saying of me, God will not deliver him. But you, Lord, are a shield around me, my glory, the one who lifts my head high. I call out to the Lord, and he answers me from his holy mountain. I lie down and sleep. I wake again because the Lord sustains me. I will not fear though tens of thousands assail me on every side. Arise, Lord, deliver me, my God. Strike all my enemies on the jaw, break the teeth of the wicked. From the Lord comes deliverance. May your blessing be on your people. So this one we actually do have a context to. It actually tells us right in there in the title, as a number of the Psalms do. And this takes place in 2 Samuel 15 through 18, if you want to go ahead and read that story. But this is at a moment where a number of things in David's life are coming together, and they're coming together in sort of a bad way. And what's happened is his son, Absalom, has basically pulled off a coup, and he has removed David from the throne, and it appears to be complete. It really, honestly, appears like it's over, like David's reign is done. Turns out not to be the case, but at this moment, that's what it feels like. Absalom has conquered. David is an outcast, but there's an interesting thing about this. Part of the reason that David doesn't fight back at this moment, and he even has some people who are willing to fight for him, but he says no, is because he sees what's happening to him here as a judgment from God. And he sees it as a judgment for his great sin with Bathsheba, which you probably know the story about, where he basically committed adultery and murder. And because of this, he's feeling like this is God's judgment, and he feels like there's a certain appropriateness to it. And so he doesn't fight back. Also because it's his son, I think, and he has a very complicated relationship with his children. And in this case, he loves Absalom, even though Absalom is definitely doing what he shouldn't do. So he's not fighting back. And he's kind of just accepting that whatever comes his way is what God has for him. So that's the context. That's when he's writing this psalm. And that's what leads to the thing that stands out to me most. And that's that at the very beginning here, he says, how many are my foes? How many rise up against me? The fact is, there just seem to be increasing numbers of people, because this is kind of how a coup works, right? Whoever's in the charge, then he picks up all the support. Once the fighting is sort of over and you see that Absalom's reigning, they pick up a lot of support, and David starts having people just yelling at him and cursing him and saying, you never were good, and all the kind of things that happen at a moment like this. So he says, how many rise up against me? But then he says this, many are saying of me, God will not deliver him. And what stands out to me in this psalm is, I don't think he's saying that people are accusing God of being unfaithful, although they might be. What I think he's actually saying, though, is that people are saying David doesn't deserve to be delivered. Even David himself is feeling this. And so I think as he's seeing what's happening to him, he's recognizing that a lot of people are saying, well, God isn't going to deliver him because God wants Absalom in power, because David deserves it, because David's a bad guy. Not that anybody even knew exactly what this judgment was about, or not very many people, I assume. But there is this, I think, is what David's feeling, is that people are thinking of David as not deserving of his kingship. And the truth is, David agrees with him at this point. But that's what makes the next paragraph so amazing to me, as he says, you, Lord, are a shield around me, my glory, the one who lifts my head. I call out to the Lord, and he answers me from his holy mountain. The point is, David knows he doesn't deserve God to listen to him. And so when people say God will never deliver him, David's response isn't, yes, God will deliver me because I'm worthy of it. His response is, God will deliver me because God is God. Because that's who God is. Because he's the kind of God who is a shield. And he's the kind of God who lifts me high. And he's the kind of God who answers when I call. In other words, this psalm is all about the fact that David has confidence and hope that God will rescue him, but not because David deserves it, but because that's who God is. He goes on from there to actually ask God to deliver him, which may seem at odds with what I said before about him accepting God's judgment. But it's actually not, because the point is, if God delivers him, then he knows that everything's been done the way it should be. If he delivers himself or attempts to rescue himself, then he's not accepting the judgment of God. This is kind of characteristic of David throughout actually his whole life, that he very much wants to trust in God to make things happen the way that they should happen. And so he does call out for God to rescue him. He wants that, but he needs to know that it's from God. So that's what stands out to me. So now some things for you to ponder. Number one is, are there things in your life, is there a guilt or a shame in your life which causes you to think and expect and believe that you only deserve bad things? Do you think that God might be calling you at this time to recognize that God's love and goodness is greater than your frailty, and that his redemption is even greater than your ability to sort of show penance enough to make up for whatever it is that you've done? I think these are really kind of deep and important questions. You don't have to answer these on the Facebook page if you don't want to, but go ahead and ponder this and think about this. And then my second question is just what stands out to you in this psalm? And I would love to hear about this on the comment page as well if you're interested. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow for Psalm 4.